In this video, I am going to write a fraction class. So this will give us an example of creating a class, declaring private variables, creating a constructor, actually creating more than one constructor, and creating a number of built-in methods for that class so that fractions can be manipulated from outside. So this is what I want to be able to do, and to avoid all the red wavy lines here, I'm going to comment a bunch of stuff out. Okay, so I want to be able to do something like this. I want to be able to create a fraction variable, a and b. Okay, I want to be able to do something like this. Okay. Next, I'm declaring the variable twice there. So if I've already declared it, I would do something, and that would give me the fraction 1/2. Okay. I might want to be able to do something like this: b equals new fraction. We're only passing in one argument. Okay, that argument's going to be the whole number, and so the denominator in that case would be assumed to be 1. I want to be able to do something like this. Let's add another fraction c. Got to declare it. Okay. And if I do that, it will get initialized to a default value, which would be, reasonable value would seem to be 0/1. Okay. Then I want to be able to do some other things. Let's make a little more room here. I want to be able to do things like add two fractions together. So a equals a dot plus b. Okay. And that will take the fraction a, we'll pass in the fraction b, and we will add them together and put that result back in the fraction a. I want to be able to do stuff like console and have it write out the fraction in fraction form. So if it's fraction 1/2, it would print out 1/2. I want to be able to, we haven't done this one. Let's add another fraction. Okay. So we pass in an existing fraction. Now the assumption here, this will blow up in our face unless a has already been initialized, which it has up here. So what I want to do here is, this is called a copy constructor. You pass in another fraction, and the numerator and all the values for that, in this case the numerator and denominator, get copied into D. So now I've got fraction A is equal to 1/2, and I've got fraction D equal to 1/2. Okay, so that's called a copy constructor. This one up here is called the default constructor, and then these are parameterized constructors because we pass in parameters. Okay, so I want to be able to write it out. I'd like to be able to do the other arithmetic operators as well. So, you know, a equals a dot minus b, and a equals a dot times b, a equals a dot divided by b, okay, so we have 4 arithmetic operations. I would also be able to like to be able to compare two fractions. So something like, you probably use this in an if statement, but rather than create an if statement here with no context, we will just do a write line. A dot is greater than, okay, and I would want 5 more of those. Greater than, less than, equal, greater than or equal, less than or equal, and not equal. And I have seen some programming languages where, just to shorten this up, what they do is they just use like 2-letter abbreviations. So GT would be greater than, LT would be less than, EQ would be equal, NE would be not equal, and so on. So I want to be able to compare them. So that's going to be 6 operations right there. I would also like to be able to reduce a fraction. So and 2 ways here. I do a dot reduce, and that tells a to reduce itself. So if a is currently 2 over 4, and I call this, I will get 1 over 2. And a will actually be changed. So I'm telling it to reduce itself. But I might also want to do something like this. B equals, I might want a to keep its value of 2 over 4, but I want to copy its reduced value into another fraction. So what would happen here is, let's say that at the time I execute this, a is 2 over 4. And what this will do is it will, without changing the 2 and the 4 in A, it will return a fraction whose value is 1/2 and put it in B. Okay, so 2 versions of reduce. One is called reduce, and it actually changes the invoking object, which is A. Another one called reduced, which does not change the invoking object, A, but it recreates a new object that is the reduced value of A and returns it. So that's what we'll get put in B. So those are some common things that you might want to do with fractions. This is a really good example, I think, of creating a new class and then creating objects based on that class. So those are the things I want to do. I think I'll stop the video there, and we will start writing our fraction class in the next video.